taking control of your future and what you want to be invested in, when you want to do it. I talk about return on equity, and then I talk about return on energy. You know, if we are really heading into an...
I'll tell you, I am extremely excited to have Mark Jensen have been on the iShare show. Mark Jensen is an unbelievable human being that I had the opportunity to get to know back in 2018. He's got an unbelievable knack for numbers, and I'm a data guy. I just love to geek out on the numbers. Mark Jensen saw something in 2018 called the Gartner Report. He said to me, Aaron Peterson, have you seen this report? It's unbelievable of what's going to happen to housing in the marketplace. And with you at your current company, My Mini Casa, you're probably plumbed perfect to take advantage of this. He showed me the numbers, and I met with him several times. We started to put together some amazing things. And recently we had him on the iShare show. I'm so excited for you all to check that out and learn a little bit from Mark Jensen. So without further ado, we'll jump back into that. He's just showing here right now one of my customers, Salt Lake City, from his top floor office that overlooks all of the beautiful Salt Lake City and most of the developments that he's been a part of. Unbelievable individual. Let's just jump right into it.
Inflationary market, you want to invest in growth. And I think we're seeing some of that now where people really bought heavy in 21, 22. How much real estate's in the United States of America? 400. Let me talk about the capital markets. There's a certain weight that comes with you're owning 150 units by yourself, or 30 units by yourself, or a duplex by yourself. I mean, there's a weight to that. I don't think it gets talked about. Now it's getting talked about because all of a sudden if you've got a loan coming due and you've still been paying your 8% pref, but you haven't recognized that your equity is down 30% and you're gonna have to do a capital call to all these investors that you went to. I mean, there's just some scenarios that have come to light. If you need liquidity and they're fine.
All right, we're going to jump into a lot of subjects, I can already tell, for this interview. It's over an hour and 15 minutes long. I'm not going to review the whole thing because it's just a really long video. So right there, he just talked about how the market has made this big adjustment, right, in real estate. And so basically what happened is the interest rates go up, right? Now, why did the interest rates go up? They go up for a lot of reasons, but the biggest reason is because of inflation. If we have a choice in America, and that choice is high inflation, which reduces the amount of money that you can buy things for. So we're talking about back when eggs were like $4 or $5 for eggs and beef was like 15 bucks a pound, right? Now, ultimately, think about our biggest market of cash and capital and people. Who is that? That's our parents, the baby boomers, right? 10,000 are retiring a day. So if inflation is driving through the roof, and food and eggs and beef and all that are really expensive, then our baby boomers who are in retirement phase, and rather than having their money in high riskier investments, have it more in like that savings account mode and that smaller percentage of gain, but inflation's double and triple. I mean, what is a dozen eggs? $1.60 in normal markets, and it got all the way back up to $5. Well, if inflation is that high, we eat through our baby boomers and our parents' savings, and so what happens is they come back and they live with us because they can't afford to live anywhere else. So what does the government do? The government raises interest rates, which forces the cost of those goods and things like that to slow down and actually come down, even forcing us into recession. Recessions aren't always a bad thing when we're talking about saving our baby boomers. And so the government has a choice, and that choice is either we let inflation run and we force our seniors to go back to work just so they can cover and pay for the bills of the high expensive things of cost, or they increase the interest rate, force certain segments into a repression or a recession, and then that way, yes, it's more expensive for, per se, the younger generations to buy houses and housing, but Mark's going to jump into some of that, and so we'll look for those spots in here. We'll keep it pretty short, and then this will be a great review. I love Mark Jensen. He knows the numbers better than anybody I know.
So I see there's so much value in a marketplace. Let the market set it. Because again, you don't have to sell too, right? However, knowing what that market value is and knowing where you are when you check in, you guys are providing a massive service. You know, like when the market turns, like I would have loved to have had some liquidity the last 6 months to a year just for fun.
Hi.
But I leased up and that owner said, hey, do you want to sell this? So understanding the financing side, understanding math, was able to put together a sales package and valuation, and we went to market and sold both those assets. And Technically, I didn't sell the Kearns deal. That's Peter Clark. So was my first client and a great guy, but I did sell the Twillo deal, and that's kind of how I got on the investment side.
Mark has some great stories in here that I really I want you to check out this itself. But I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. We're going to get into some of those cost pieces that I talked about, and so again,
which Woodbury's doing with their partners.
Unbelievable.
We just have these amazing things.
Long overview. Overall,
City, Heber, all that stuff. It's like you just have so much, and we're land constrained. And so anyway, there's so many positive things. Let me talk about the capital markets. Interest rates went from 2.5%, 2.75%. And we have clients that have HUD 220D4 loans, which are 40-year fully amortizing loans at 2.55%. I mean, that's crazy to think about.
That is crazy.
Right now, if you went to get that same loan, rates have come in a little bit and spreads have come in. We have a client of ours that's trying to lock in Phoenix right now at like 5.75%. Most of our quotes are still 6.25, 6.4. But those are down from 7. But I mean, it's really hard. No one's going to pay a 5 cap to get a set, and then borrow at 7% to get negative leverage, without an incredible story. So we have not seen a lot of transactions. We went from basically doing 1.8 billion in the first half of last year to about 330 million total in the state of Utah. The first half of this year. The second half is probably half of that. So we have a really strong bid-ask gap. And I'm probably talking too long, so I'll finish this up. But the reality is that Utah is performing just fine. So if you don't have a loan coming due or you don't have to sell, you're not going to sell. If I came to you and said, you just bought your house a year ago, you got a great loan in place, your family's happy, you bought it for $1 million, I'm like, I'll give you $725. You'd be like, I'm good. And that's kind of where we are in the market. The best story I have is a client of mine who's in a pickle. He called and it's like, hey, Mark, I'm sorry I haven't gotten back to you. Been really busy. Capital markets are working against me, inflation's working against me. Like, it's just not working out. So I decided to let the lender foreclose. And I was like, by the way, we've never had a multifamily foreclosure, hardly at all. We had 0 in the GFC in Utah, so we're a safe place to invest. I was like, you're kidding me, And he's like, just kidding.
Oh.
So even those who are in a pickle, like, that's the attitude in Utah. We're stubborn because we know where we're going, right? So overall, we just have to get through this short-term heartache. We do have a lot of deliveries. Between last year and this year, we'll have over 14,000 apartments delivered primarily in Salt Lake County. So if you walk those units, they all look very similar. We've built a lot of the same stuff. And so I think in that genre, we're going to continue to see concessions pick up. Some places are offering 6 weeks free, 2 months free.
Wow, that's good
we'll
concessions.
see if that picks up, and that happened really, really quickly. So we will see rents look like they're softening, but I think overall just the base of strength in our market is super strong. So that's a long way of saying, where are we? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
We've talked about how great the real estate market is in terms of the growth, the population growth. There's so much going on. Time heals all wounds in real estate for anything negative happening, but I can't help but see affordable housing, vigilante. The elephant in the room is, I literally have 4 out of 5 adult children right now that
Great subject.
are like, Mom, do I just rent a room? What do I, it's tough out there for a lot of people. So give us your opinion on solutions, what to look forward to. What do we do?
No, I appreciate that. I do have on my LinkedIn profile affordable housing vigilante.
It's funny because I've seen these posts as well from a gentleman out of Colorado, Jason Grinder. He's an unbelievable guy. You should got to check him and follow out. But anyways, he talked about this very thing with his own kids, that his kids aren't going to be able to afford houses because of these interest rates. And, what are they going to do? Are they going to live with them forever? And so really it's a catch-22, right? The catch-22 is you've got parents that we do need these lower interest rates, but if we have lower interest rates, then what is it going to do? It's going to open up quantitative easing. There's going to be more banks that can give really great loans. That's going to create more building. More building puts tons of people back into work, tons and tons of people back into work. With tons and tons of people back into work, but not enough people to fill those jobs, then you have to pay more for the jobs, and it causes inflation to drive, right? And then if there's inflation is driving and there's not enough people at the farms and all the other pieces, then food drives, and then all the other sectors drive. Right now, here's the thing, and a lot of people are going to say this is contradictory and this is a terrible thing, but the borders are open. We brought in 8 million people, they say, over the course of this current presidency, and there's thousands coming in every single day. Well, where could they work in the event that we see interest rate come down, which we are going to see a massive interest rate drop? I think it's going to happen over segments. And when that happens, what's going to happen is construction's going to drive again, right? And when construction drives and there's not people to do the farming because they're going back into construction, we have all these other people that can fill those jobs. So it's a catch-22 if the borders should be open or not open. I hear people argue about this all the time, but now that they're open, we're in a really good spot where we could reduce interest rates. It's going to put more people back to work, and we might not see the inflation numbers drive. And so then people that are older are going to still have food at the right prices and not have to cut into their savings. And then people that are younger are going to be able to afford houses again. So let's jump back into that, and we'll continue to listen to the response here.
I've been involved in several affordable housing boards and what I would call affordable housing endeavors, also affordable housing rabbit holes. Affordable housing is really tough because most people look to the government, to LIHTC, low-income housing tax credit deals, to build their way out of it. Well, the problem is, like, have you ever built a $350,000 unit to rent it for $700 and made money? Like, absolutely not. And that's what they're looking to do in scale, and it's just never, we're never going to build our way out of it. There needs to be market rate solutions. So,
this is a great point I'm going to add in here. So there's a middle income development I'm working on in Las Vegas, Nevada right now. And, Mark is spot on. $350,000 for low income housing, $350,000 for low income housing is not a thing that makes sense. It's not. And so where are you at? Like, a low income housing tax credit of $40,000, you're better to go in and buy building units or hotels in markets that are older, let's say 2006 builds, and maybe the hotel is just vacant. I know of one that would be perfect that was like a 1976 build. It's in Carson City, Nevada. I want to say that it's 110 rooms, $40,000 LHITC credit. Take it's vacant. This building's vacant, downtown area. I can't remember. It's called like the Omsbury or something like that. So go look it up. It's in Carson City. I want to say they're selling it for $16 million. You convert the parking garage, that's a great parking garage, into like some sort of an office building, and then you turn the hotel into low-income housing tax credits, and maybe add in a biohacking facility, and you've got a great flip right there at $16.5 million. Now, because it's only 110 rooms and the LHITC credit's 40,000, that's 4.4 million. At $10 million, if you don't convert that garage into some sort of other office space, do you get it to cash flow? Maybe not. So it's interesting. But anyways, we'll continue to listen to that. He's spot on with this low income housing tax credit thing.
There's so many ways I can go. I'll be really careful because I don't want to drag this out and make it a 4-hour show, but I've spent a lot of time in the affordable housing space, and there are some major challenges and major headwinds. One of the most incredible things about the state of Utah is Clark Ivory and Gail Miller got together and they started the Utah Housing Preservation Fund, which is a nonprofit set to basically buy and preserve what we would call naturally affordable housing in the marketplace. So one of the things that I saw when I spoke at the 2017 NAIOP Symposium here in Utah was that between 2014 and 2017, we had already seen close to 4,600 units purchased, renovated, and rents increased on average $284 a unit. Not everybody that was renting there for $1,000 can pay $1,300. Where did all those people go? And that started this dialogue with Clark early on. The second best time to plant a tree is today, right? Like in theory, we would have loved to have gone back many, many years ago and planted so many of these trees because, as Clark has always told me, one, people drive to affordability in Utah. That's natural. But two, affordability is not a demand issue. We're already counting people. We already know that we're growing. It's a supply issue. You light up supply and all of a sudden it's affordable again, or it gives you a chance to catch up. And that's kind of what we're seeing in the Class A multifamily space right now is all of a sudden we went from...
Okay, let's talk about that real quick, and then I'm going to let you watch this video directly. Again, so many great nuggets in this one. Unbelievable. Mark is so good at what he does. But let me just tell you one other thing that was super important with where rates are, right? So he's spot on. More housing, more units, more multifamily, all that makes things affordable again. You were not going to find that with low interest rates on a marketplace. And the biggest reason you weren't is because all the homes were getting bought up by Airbnb people. Okay, all of them are getting bought up by Airbnb people. The process To put a home on Airbnb, maybe 2 to 4 hours, maybe, okay? The process to go through and get approved for Section 8 housing is 60 days. It needs to be fixed for Section 8 housing vouchers. It needs to be fixed. But now with interest rates high, nobody wants to buy the price for the home that is reduced to where it's at or the interest rate where it's high. And so what it's putting is it's creating a lot of Airbnb arbitrage where, people have to sell these massive portfolios that are no longer cash flowing portfolios. And so they have a choice. Keep the low interest rate loan, which is smart. Go to Section 8 housing voucher because there's so many Airbnb homes that aren't selling anymore that are on the market that it's allowed for affordable housing and more people to get into housing through Section 8 housing clauses. So anyways, again, Mark Jensen is a genius. You really need to watch the full episode. There's my highlight for you. I am so excited about doing more of these, and I look forward to getting to know my audience and hearing what your overall opinion is. Combat me. Tell me in the comments, that I'm wrong or something else, and let's hear your view. And then also tell us about markets that you have heard about that might be really good for us to review a property that would be a good flip or low-income housing tax credit or, quite frankly, a build. Some really exciting things that we're going to talk about on this place, and I'm excited to go over the numbers and do more things with all of you. My name is Aaron Peterson. Please like and subscribe to my channel, and I look forward to more education and getting to know all of you, like I said, and quite frankly, reaching out and potentially investing in some properties with our family office with all of you guys as the operators of those properties. Everybody have a good one. We'll talk to you later. Bye.